Good morning and a very warm welcome to you all. Honorable Comptroller and Auditor General of India, Shri K. Sanjay Murthy, His Excellency Mr. Matanyahu Engelman, State Comptroller and Ombudsman of the State of Israel, members of the delegation from the State of Israel, members of the senior management, officers and colleagues. On behalf of the Office of CAG of India, I extend a cordial welcome to you all to this special session of the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Lecture Series. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Lecture Series is a flagship knowledge initiative of the Office of CAG of India, bringing eminent leaders, scholars, and practitioners from around the world to share their experiences and perspectives on issues of contemporary relevance. The topic of today's lecture is Artificial Intelligence in Public Sector Auditing. To begin with the proceedings, may I now invite Shri K.S. Subramaniam, Deputy CAG, to deliver the welcome address.
Respected Comptroller and Auditor General of India, His Excellency Mr. Matanyahu Engelman, State Comptroller of Israel and President of EUROSAI, Mrs. Engelman, Ms. Zehavit, family members of Mr. Engelman, Dr. Sarah Yanowski, First Secretary, Embassy of Israel, Ms. Miri Wies, Head of International Relations, SAI Israel, my dear colleagues, good morning. It's a privilege for me to welcome the State Comptroller of Israel and the accompanying delegates to yet another lecture as part of the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Lecture Series. Your Excellency, Dr. Ambedkar was one of the most important architects of the Constitution of India. The CAG organization particularly has a close affinity to him, as decades ago he foresaw the importance of the CAG and famously thus remarked about the CAG, quote, I am of the opinion that this dignitary or officer is probably the most important officer in the Constitution of India. He is the one man who is going to see that the expenses voted by the Parliament are not exceeded or varied from what has been laid down by the Parliament in the Appropriation Act, unquote. Dr. Ambedkar also advocated knowledge, scientific temper, and modern institutions as pillars of national progress. In recognition of his contribution to the Indian Constitution and his focus on knowledge, the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Lecture Series was started in 2018. Since then, regularly, we have been privileged to have stalwarts from diverse fields speak to us and engage with us under this forum. In fact, this is the third lecture under this series in the current calendar year itself. Artificial intelligence is transforming the way governments function and how public services are delivered. It holds tremendous promise to the supreme audit institutions in all phases of the audit cycle, from strategic planning, risk assessment, data analytics, reporting, and follow-up. This topic has been particularly engaging the attention of SAIs across the world during the last few years. Interestingly, as I speak, a virtual meeting of the members of the WGITA research project on leveraging artificial intelligence to enhance efficiency and effectiveness in public auditing is taking place today. It's a privilege that on these important themes of artificial intelligence and leveraging innovative tools for impactful audits, we have the State Comptroller of Israel speak to us. Under the stewardship of His Excellency, SAI Israel and EUROSAI have scaled great heights in the use of AI and innovative tools for increasing the efficiency, professionalism, relevance, and credibility of SAIs. I once again welcome His Excellency, the State Comptroller, the accompanying delegates, and my dear colleagues to this lecture. I am confident that this lecture will be highly encouraging and a source of inspiration for all of us. Thank you.
For your warm welcome and insightful remarks. It is now my privilege to invite the Honorable C&AG of India, Shri K. Sanjay Murthy, to deliver the opening remarks.
Distinguished State Comptroller and Ombudsman of Israel and President of the EUROSAI, Mr. Matanyahu Engelman, Mrs. Engelman, Ms. Miri Wies, Head of International Relations and EUROSAI Presidency Team, dear colleagues, distinguished officers, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning. It is a moment of genuine privilege to welcome you to the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Lecture Series, an initiative that has over the years enabled us to interact with some of the finest minds in governance, technology, and public administration. I extend my warmest greetings to Mr. Matanyahu Engelman, State Comptroller of Israel and President of the EUROSAI, a leader whose vision has brought fresh energy to international audit cooperation. I welcome all my other distinguished colleagues who are joined online from over 140 offices of the Comptroller of C&AG of India. The themes that we engage with today, artificial intelligence in public sector auditing, advanced applications, performance auditing, and innovative tools in modern state auditing, sit at the very heart of the transformation reshaping our profession. They reflect a world where auditors must be comfortable navigating algorithms and data ecosystems as they are examining financial statements. The innovative tools now available to us offer an unprecedented opportunity to make public audit more precise, more impactful, and more responsive to the expectations of the societies we serve. I think it is apt to give a brief background as to the amount of work that is happening within the organization over the last couple of years, where the senior management has constantly endeavored to see what are the type of tools that can be adopted and deployed across our offices. We are faced with the situation where we have such diversity and variance in maturity of all state governments. You had visited Accra, Your Excellency, yesterday, a state with more than 250 million of a population and a close to $1 trillion, half $1 trillion of an economy, throwing up complexities in the auditing of such type of states of that scale with various maturities across different entities of our auditees. We, through our initiatives, have opened up avenues for our young auditors to explore innovative ways using all the tools that are available, to deploy them in their work, to ensure that they're able to effectively use their time and the limited resources available to them. I'm sure that with your presentation today, they will be enriched with further greater ideas as to how they can adopt practices that you may have deployed in your own state as well as in the EUROSAI. While I have said that, the audience here should note that Mr. Engelman, before joining as the State Comptroller and Ombudsman of Israel, was the DG of Technion, which is the Israel Institute of Technology, which is known for cultivating innovation, promoting startups, and has a recognition of being recognized as good as the MIT in this sector. We are hopeful that with this past experience of yours of bringing that institute to this level, the learnings and the ideas that you have shared for inculcating research and development and fostering an environment where this can flourish will also be shared during this course of your lecture. You on the side of EUROSAI as the chair and we as the chair of the SAI, as well as the chair of the KSE of InterSci, have a great responsibility in disseminating this knowledge that we gather during our work. In our own interactions with many of the SAIs across Africa as well as Asia, there has been a constant request to ensure that we share our best practices and our learnings. This message was also articulated in the SAI 20 meeting that we had in Delhi in 2024. And I think the three main topics that were identified for support and dissemination was on responsible AI, strengthening accountability ecosystems, sharing audit methodologies and best practices. We in SAI India have embarked on this journey in a very small way. We are curating courses which can be delivered from our academic institutions to a larger audience, first building our own capacities amongst our auditors, but also to share those with the other SAIs. We have recently launched a similar program wherein representatives from certain African SAIs have joined these courses, but I think there is a long way to go before we are able to really leverage the capacities as well as the knowledge that we have, and any opportunity for sharing and building institutional arrangements for strengthening that arrangement will go a long way in not only helping SAI India but all the SAIs around the world. In this direction, we look forward to your cooperation as SAI Israel for this important endeavor, and I'm sure that the bilateral meeting that we propose to have later in the day will touch upon these themes to take this forward. I mean, I wouldn't like to spend more time between you and the audience, as we all look very keenly to hearing from you on the great initiatives you have taken as chair of the SAI and as head of SAI Israel itself. Two notable, remarkable achievements that I personally foresee is the one in which, in spite of such technical innovations, competence that Israel is known for, it has looked at the social sector in a very, very deep and meaningful way, touching upon topics of gender in the armed forces or tracking the important SDGs work that each country is mandatorily required to do. I'm sure with some of the examples that you will cover during the course of the day, you will highlight to us the sensitivities as well as the maturity through which such sensitive topics were addressed, and governments were nudged towards working towards these important areas. So I once again welcome you and your delegation to India and look very keenly forward to your forthcoming presentations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for giving the perspective and setting the tone for the lecture. It is now my distinct privilege and honor to introduce our distinguished speaker for today's Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Lecture Series, His Excellency Mr. Matanyahu Engelman. His Excellency Mr. Matanyahu Engelman is the State Comptroller and Ombudsman of the State of Israel and currently serves as the President of the European Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions, EUROSAI. He assumed office as the State Comptroller and Ombudsman in June 2019. Born in Jerusalem in 1966, Mr. Engelman holds a bachelor's degree in economics and accounting and a master's degree in business administration from the Hebrew University of the Jerusalem. He is also a certified public accountant. Throughout his distinguished career, he has held several senior leadership positions, including Director General of the Council of Higher Education and Director General of the Technion, Israel Institute of Technology. Under his leadership, SAI Israel has actively promoted innovation and the responsible use of emerging technologies in public auditing. His work has contributed significantly to advancing discussions on digital transformation, performance auditing, and the application of artificial intelligence within SAIs. Today, His Excellency will address us on the themes artificial intelligence in public sector auditing and advanced applications, performance auditing, and innovative tools in modern state auditing. These themes are of immense relevance to audit institutions worldwide as we seek to adapt to the rapidly evolving governance and technological landscape. We are privileged to have the opportunity to learn from His Excellency's rich experience and leadership in this field. May I now invite His Excellency Mr. Matanyahu Engelman to deliver the lecture.
Good morning, everybody. Dear guests and colleagues, first of all, I would like to sincerely thank His Excellency Sansai Murthy, Comptroller and Auditor General of India, and the President of SAI for inviting me here. I hope that our discussion will provide useful insights, encouraging new perspectives, and contribute to productive exchange of ideas. We will discuss the issue of implementing AI and other methodology, advanced methodology within our office, but also I will share with you some of the information from our colleagues in EUROSAI. I will start by a short video demonstrating what we may expect EUROSAI to be within 1,000 years. Please.
Greetings from the future. We're back in time to tell you about EUROSAI in 1,000 years. You will be happy to know that, like you, we also managed to improve the world, but it is a completely different world. So fasten your seatbelts, unleash your imagination, and let's go. New artificial intelligence tools allow us to improve the audit process and make it faster, effective, and more relevant. No wonder that this year we published 350 million reports with 1 billion findings and recommendations and conducted 10 million peer reviews. A new European record. We promote professional cooperation between Europe's supreme audit institutions in all 500 official languages of the organization. Oh, in your time there were only 5 official languages. Odd. European auditors benefit from access to intergalactic databases that enable in-depth analysis not only of data from Earth, but from 70 billion other stars. The SAI from the Orion Galaxy is a bit messed up. We are lucky to have the EUROSAI Secretariat to help them get things in order. Today, the auditors come from a variety of fields: Digimors, Robolunars, and... Oh, I apologize. I completely forgot that these professions do not yet exist in your century. Thanks to your effective work in the report on the future labour market, the unemployment rate in the world is close to 0. Implementation of your recommendations enabled us to eradicate pandemics once and for all. The AIFYI methodology that was developed by EUROSAI enables every person in the 31st century to receive a tailor-made relevant data from the audit reports. And just so you know, we learn a lot from your parallel audits too. The climate crisis is resolved, the cyber risks are under control, and our senior citizens enjoy an active life and better health. Yes, me too. I will celebrate my 150th birthday next week. I look younger, don't I? In our time, they say 150 is the new 30. So as you have seen, Europe is in good hands. Thank you for the excellent work that touches every area of our lives. Bravo Europe! Bravo EUROSAI!
Okay, so this was just to enter into the perspective that eventually now we are facing a new generation, a new time, where AI is crucial for both us as auditors, but also for the lives of all citizens around the world. If you can go to the presentation, please. So we will speak about advanced application, performance audit, and innovative tools. Please to the next slide. Okay, so in a way, there are few kinds of AIs that can be used. One of them is, of course, the first one I would mention is machine learning, algorithms that detect patterns in data to make predictions or decisions without being explicitly programmed. The other one I would mention is deep learning. Next one, I will move into large language models, which is very important for all community of SAI all over the world, because we can study much better from each other. Nowadays, if I want to learn about somebody else's report, I can enter into the French office website, download a French audit report, and ask him, please translate it to my language very easily and to study from it. Or the issue of computer vision, and we'll get into it later on, how we can use it by videos, for example, for distributing our reports and make it more accessible to the public. We publish in Israel 100 reports per year. The length is about 100 pages, each one of them. I am telling my staff, probably I'm the only person in Israel who reads the whole the reports of the state auditors. So how can I make it more accessible to the public? Yeah, and I will demonstrate it later on by having a short video of 2 minutes that is demonstrating the main findings of the audit reports to the public. And then, of course, the issue of reinforcement learning, to study, and a behavioral learning method when autonomous agent improver through trial and error, and we can use such agents, for example, to find out trends in economic that we should follow, to use those agents as AI agents as part of any part of the audit process, and we'll get into it later on. Before entering to the audit process that AI can be used, I do wish to share with you that from my point of view, I do believe that as auditor, we should, and this is part of our independence, is that our main role was to pick the subject that we are checking. What are we auditing? Of course, we have the traditional role of delivering our financial audits, our compliance audit, but I do believe we should go more and more into performance audit. And by doing that, we'll have more added value to both the auditees, but also to our people. And for example, I would share with you that in our office, we started to deal with cybersecurity risks. It was mentioned that I was a Director General of the Technion, leading universities. When I was in this position, I asked the staff, what is the most important thing for the students? They told me the grades. So I said, okay, let's see if we can hack our system, enter, and to change all the grades, because all of the students are studying many, many years for those grades. And what happened? We follow all the regulation, we checked whether it's protected, and then we asked 2 brilliant students in the Technion that they were engineering, very young one, okay, try to hack. In 2 days, they entered into all the systems. So I don't want to influence somebody and to motivate you to enter into those kinds of files. But yes, we as, for example, the State Audit Office of Israel, we are already hiring hackers on behalf of ourselves as part of the audit procedures and I will speak about it later on. Yes, but part of our recommendation relates sometimes even an online recommendation. We sit with the auditee, we program this kind of test that we are going to do, and we online show them how we can hack into their system. It can be to our tax authority system, it can be to our foreign ministry, it can be to our prime minister office, or it can be even to our central bank. Yes, by doing such a kind of IT audit and cybersecurity check. Also, I would mention that I do believe that as auditors, we have a main role of looking about the preparedness of our country to disasters, to emergency cases, because we know when such an emergency happens, it can be due to climate change, it can be due to earthquake, it can be due to floods. The cost is 10 times more or even much higher than if you prepare yourself. So yes, as part of picking the relevant subject, we do enter into the preparedness of our country to those kind of issues. I would mention, for example, the climate change report we've done, but also the preparedness for earthquake, or even evacuation of population, or what are the structured financial aid that the government is is giving population that is under such a situation. Or, for example, the issue now, we just had a report regarding the reserve of food. What happened about food supply under emergency cases? So yes, we try to anticipate by picking the subject, what are the relevant subjects for our citizens of country. I will also mention another aspect that we are very much into it is, I call it being voice for the voiceless. Let's see what kind of vulnerable communities we do have in our country that we as an auditor can look how we are treating them. For example, I would mention the audit report regarding protecting children online. We had a report regarding our children in Israel. There are 4 hours in average, I would say. Sometimes, you know, they have to eat, they have to sleep a little bit, they have to go to study, but 4 hours a day, they are online. So we checked both our law enforcement, our police, what are they doing, how many complaints they are dealing, how they are protecting the children. This is on one hand. On the other hand, we checked our education system. Are they prepared? For example, we used as part of our audit methodology, we distributed a survey to all the principals in our country, asking them, do you have a program how to teach the children to protect themselves online? Do you have a program when something like that happens in your school? And usually it's a girl that was offended by a boy. How are you dealing with it? It's not always criminal, it can be boycott, but yes, it's very relevant to our children. So as part of our new tools, we are using surveys. And if I go back, I will demonstrate the 4 phases of the workflow engine of an audit report, from planning to conducting, then to reporting, and then to a follow-up. So I would use a case study of the usage of AI. In our case, we took the OECD economic survey about Israel for 2025. It's like an external evaluator, but I believe you do have also some ideas about and some evaluation about your country economic development. And we just enter into this survey, and we asked the AI, and the prompt engine that we used was, as a senior auditor, I am a senior auditor of the State Comptroller Office of Israel. Based on these documents, please identify and map out 3 key areas most critical for Israel. And he gave us the answer. The first one was public investment and infrastructure management. The second was the educational outcomes and labor market integration. And the third one was market competition and cost of living issues. Based on that, I can share with you how we are executing our report. So this was the planning, but then let's go on. So, for example, when we deep dive into it, we asked him, please assist us with planning the audit plan. What are the barriers, for example, in the issue of the issue of cost of living and food supply chain? What are the retail price transmission? He gave us all of those core audit metrics generated. What have we done with it? So we had a report regarding issues of cost of living. So we looked about and we implemented the model of how much does government steps really affect the price. For example, in our car industry, they allowed more import online. But what happened? That there was still barrier, and nobody's importing by itself the car or part of it. They are using just the importer. So the public is still paying more money. So yes, we were using this AI tool, and he focused us on what should we check, and then we went and we checked all of those items. Or, for example, here we've just uploaded him with a lot of files regarding, in this case, OECD, about information about Israel, economy indicators, and we asked him, please identify one indicator that we should improve himself. So it was 1 minute, he told us, yeah, you can see here, you have a problem with food and non-alcoholic beverages that are much more expensive than in other countries. I also distributed between you here a methodology. How should we make such an international comparison based off the GDP, and because in different countries there are different level of prices, so you cannot compare from one country to the other country, but we are state auditors, so we should develop which are the relevant country that we are comparing in order to evaluate the impact of the policy that is being handled by the government. So he gave me about, it's maybe 100 page of tables, and he identified right away the relevant figure that we should check on more deeply. And for example, I will also share with you later on, before entering to the issue of, I want to go to the big data detection. I would like also to demonstrate it in another report we had. We had a report regarding children that are being taken out of families, and they are out of the house. There are about, in Israel, there are about 12,000 children like this, and the expense, the government expense on it is about 1 billion shekel. 1 billion shekel is about 350 million US dollar. And we checked, where are the children? We asked the Ministry of Welfare, you are expending 1 billion shekel a year. Where are the children? Where do you want the children to be? Well, there are two solutions. One of them is dormitory. The other one is foster home, foster house. We asked them, where are the children? They didn't know the answer. So we went through the financial system, because there is another rate for somebody that is being sent to a dormitory. Per month, they pay, let's say, $2,000 or $1,000 or some $100. And if you send him to a foster house, the allocation of the government is 1/3. It's much more cheaper. But you can see it through the financial system, where are the children? So we asked, what are your vision? What are your target? They said, we want to send them to the families. It's better to be handled in a family. We found out by the financial system that 70% are being sent to dormitories that are much more expensive, cost more, but maybe it's good, maybe it's not good. So then we analyzed what happened with those children 10 years later on. How did we do it? We took 8 big data files that relates to all the children of Israel. One of them is their matriculation test. What are the grades they receive? One of them was the arresting files from the police. Were they involved in any criminal action? One of them was also the birth files of Israel. And I relate here to, in our case, to 1.5 million children, but probably in India it would be maybe 1,000 times more. But even so, we received the data from different entities. Why did we ask for the birth files? Because we wanted to find how many girls under 17 gave birth. Because it's some kind of a risk to find out a girl under 17 giving a birth. Or we asked how many of them are receiving unemployment grants from our national security. And we looked, and we eventually analyzed data of all of the children in Israel, 10 years period, and we found out, for example, I would just give you one finding. The potential of a kid that was sent to a dormitory to be involved in a criminal action is 8 times more than a regular kid, and 2.5 times more if he was sent to a foster house. So eventually we evaluated this. I want to share with you this example because we evaluated the government policy. So we could have given them the auditee, not only you are spending and you are following the regulation, that was also checked with us, but what is the impact? And for example, or another audit report, we had a report regarding unemployed, in our case, unemployed Arabic community in Israel. We have Arabic that is minority in our country. Between the ages of 18 and 24 in Israel, there is an issue about it. 30% of those ages are not working and not studying. And we wanted to identify where they are located and to see whether the government actions relate to those population, because the government is spending a lot of money, but is it in the right direction? So we were using GIS, we mapped them. We mapped them where they are located in our country. It was like a heat map where there are more population of them that they are not working and not studies, and it was more red. When there are less, it was more blue. And then we looked, where are the allocation of the funds going to? Are the allocation of the funds going to the red zones in our country? Yes or no? And everything was done by AI tools, by using this data and visualizing the data within the map and matching to it the financial aid and the financial resources that the government allocate. So yes, by using data and data analysis, we can reach not only, as we are used to as auditor, to check a sample, we can check the whole population. Or even if I go to compliance audit, we looked about tenders that the government is publishing. And in Israel, there is a law that under certain amount, in our case 50,000 shekel, you don't have to go through a process of a public tender. You can ask only for a few offers from suppliers. We looked and we analyzed all the tenders of the government, all the expenditure, to see how many of them were between 49,500 to 49,999. And then we identified all of those orders that were eventually and sometimes even duplicated and used by government agencies. And we said, look, in those cases, you eventually wanted to, it was like a compliance audit, you wanted to pass the rule, you splitted the order, and this was done by analyzing all the orders of the government from the financial system. So yes, indeed, we can use it a lot by analyzing big data and doing it very, very quickly. Another issue is, of course, dealing with real-time reporting and visualization. You can see here the bottleneck, which is turning complex systematic issues into public-facing media, is slow and resource, etc. So I asked the AI, and then he gave me an output, a very easy output. How can we use it for our reports? So yes, we can use it. For example, we asked the AI, please take our full report regarding the issue of market concentration and give us the main findings and put it in a way that it will be very accessible to the public. It can be to the public, but it can be also to the minister. Usually when we go to the parliament and we show them our report, we have between 2 to 3 minutes to get their attention. straight away they go to their cell phone. Yes, everybody, like, so you have to see how you eventually promote yourself, how you market yourself as a state auditor. As part of it, so is also making the material very accessible to the public. So this was, once again, being done by AI tools. And it can be also, for example, gave me a colleague from Europe, an auditor, that she is asking the AI, please prepare me my words by the audience that I'm going to meet. If I'm going to meet a parliament member, if I'm going to meet the media, if I'm going to meet the prime minister, please let me know what he is more interested and pick from my report the most important thing from his view and let me focus on that and do it in an in vivo way. So this is another usage of AI. And once again, for example, here you can see some of the strategic recommendation out of this report that was implemented by AI tools. At the same time, we should be aware that AI, of course, it gives us a lot of opportunities, but there are risks. There are risks of algorithm bias. There are risks of data security. If we are analyzing as state auditors all the information of the population of Israel, and we receive the arresting files from the police and the unemployments from the national security grants, and even from our tax authorities, we receive their income, we want to analyze it, but then we should be very much aware that we are using the right tools so nobody will hack us, and in a way we want to do good things in auditor, but we will expose all of this data to people that are not allowed to be exposed. And there are issues of privacy, and there are issues, of course, of also sometimes of security that we should deal. So there are risks when you are using. And also I would mention the issue of the black box problem, because as auditor, our integrity is our main assets. And if we send somebody a report that is being based on AI that is wrong, we can close the office, I'm sorry to tell you, because this is our asset. Our asset is our integrity. So, and in a way, when we are usually when we are using our tools and auditors, so we have all our evidence written and in our computers, and it's based, in our case, for example, in any report that we write, we have a systematic system, of course, that everything is, every word is based on a well-proved evidence, our audit evidence. But if you are using a prompt, so you don't know already what he was doing. So this is the black box issue. As an auditor, we should keep it in mind. We should implement also some quality control within our office to see that we are using it. But at the same time, for example, we can use AI to ask him, I finished to prepare my draft audit report. Please tell me what I'm good, maybe what I'm wrong. Ask AI, what does he think about your report? How can you do it better? So yes, we can use it also as a quantity, but once again, we should be aware of the issue of black box problem, especially as auditors. But at the same time, it gives us an opportunity to deal with the whole population rather than, once again, samples, and this is a great opportunity for us. I've just mentioned the issue of the black box, and this is very crucial for us as auditors to maintain it, to be aware of it. And once again, for example, if you are using a prompt, please record what you are using. This is part of your evidence. I used this, I asked him this was the answer. This will be part of our audit evidence, because we have to, if we want to check ourselves, we should do it in a good way. And once again, AI is not replacing us as human beings. You as auditors are experts. You have the ability, you have your professionalism. AI is assisting you. Yes, it's assisting, but it's not replacing. But we do have an expression in Israel that people and employees that will know how to use AI will probably replace employees and people that are not using AI. So yes, AI is a tool for us, but it's not replacing us, especially as auditors, since we are responsible to any message that we are delivering. I would, for this part, I will stop now. I would like to share with you a short video regarding our report. We had a report regarding taxation of crypto. We all pay taxes, but as auditors, I asked our tax authorities, how do you collect taxes from crypto holders? We should see that everybody is paying taxes. Okay, so now you will see the AI video from the full report. The full report is about 160 pages. This is the short video, short version. Please, if you can
The volume
play.
of global trade in digital currencies peaked at approximately $3 trillion in 2024. Hundreds of thousands of Israelis have purchased cryptocurrencies. However, how many are paying tax on the digital currencies they hold? The tax authority estimates that it could collect between 2 to 3 billion shekels from activities involving digital currencies. However, the state comptroller has found that the authority is inadequately prepared for this situation. It was not meant to be this way. As early as 2017, Israel established principles for the taxation of digital currencies, positioning itself as one of the first countries in the world to take such measures. Since then, the crypto industry has evolved, and countries in Europe and the United States have prepared for it accordingly. And Israel, it is lagging behind. Current estimates indicate that at least 200,000 Israelis possess digital wallets. Nonetheless, only about 500 individuals report their activities to the tax authority annually, 0.25%, and that is it. The state comptroller discovered that the tax authority has not taken sufficient measures to establish new taxation rules or adapt existing regulations to the digital currency landscape. Those wishing to duly report their income discover it is not at all simple and involves considerable bureaucratic challenges. The form for reporting capital gains and the frequency of reporting have not been aligned with the usage of digital currencies. Additionally, the tax authority permits tax payments on digital currencies only through banks. However, banks often decline to accept funds from crypto-related activities due to concerns over money laundering, even when the funds are intended solely for tax payment. The authority does not assure individuals who up to now have not reported income from digital currencies that they can do so without encountering bureaucratic hurdles or facing potential criminal proceedings. Simplified regulation with simple, straightforward rules may incentivize more tax evaders to report their income. Further complicating the matter, the number of income tax inspectors tasked with reviewing reports is significantly declining. The State Comptroller recommends that the Minister of Finance and the Tax Authority establish in legislation the rules for the taxation of digital currencies and publicly disseminate these rules to enable the state to maximize the tax collection potential. Read the full report on the Office of the State Comptroller's website.
So you can see here an example, and I do want to share with you that following this report, our tax authorities, one minute,
and chairman of
1 minute, our tax authorities evaluated their regulation, understood that they are not collecting eventually any tax for any crypto holders in Israel. They changed the rules. If you have seen that we also identify the barriers, because if you wanted to pay taxes, you couldn't have done it due to the regulation. So it's not only the issue of the people that wants to pay, also sometimes the regulation are not relevant for crypto holders. So yes, it generated a lot of money for the tax authority, but I think it's very important also for the integrity of the country, because we want everybody to pay taxes, so this is part of our role. And once again, this video was 2.5 minutes made by AI, and I do want to share with you, for example, we had a report regarding mental health services in Israel, that we were doing a TikTok video that reached, and we know that 20% of the population entered into this, entered and viewed this video. Sometimes we are even using VIP to demonstrate our findings. Now we are having the football championship, world championship in United States. I know that India is not so much about it. Cricket is more in favor here. Even so that I can share with you, we had a report regarding football infrastructure in Israel. We asked from a football, he is quite an old football player, but he was the only one who scored a goal from Israel, and it was 50 years ago in Mexico, unfortunately for us, because we are not such a good football players. And he demonstrated our findings by a short video. So yes, you can also use some VIP. Please come and demonstrate our findings to the public. And it was cited once again, this video, by hundreds of, in our case, large part of the population, because they knew him, they knew the VIP, and he was demonstrating. And once again, this is making our report more accessible to the public, and this is part of our accountability to the public. I will now share with you a very interesting interview I was doing with Mr. Gil Schwade. Mr. Gil Schwade is a founder of a cybersecurity company that is traded in the NASDAQ, a worth of about $15 billion. They have all over the world, they are supplying their services. And I will share with you the interview made specifically for you about the cybersecurity threats within the AI arena. So please, if you can share the video.
Gil Schwade, founder and chairman of Checkpoint, a leading company in cybersecurity. Thank you for being with us. My first question will relate to your professional background. Could you briefly share your professional journey and the key experiences that have shaped your leadership in the technology and cybersecurity sectors?
So first, thank you everyone, and thanks for the opportunity to speak to all of you. My background starts as 10 years old, that I was very curious about computers. At the age of 12, I got my first job. At the age of 14, I got like a permanent job in the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, and I also started studying as a special student. I'm probably the youngest university dropout, because I dropped out of university studies at the age of 17. Then, like every Israeli, I did my army service also in the field of technology and computers. I started Checkpoint at the age of roughly 24, and that was 33 years ago. So the last 33 years, the first few years I was a developer, then I became the salesperson, and then we actually built a company around that. Learned almost everything on the job training, growing a company, building Checkpoint from 3 people. I started it with 2 amazing founders, to build it today to a company that's almost $3 billion in revenues, more than 7,000 people in almost every country around the world.
Well, it's quite impressive. And in your view, what is the single most important quality required of a successful entrepreneur, particularly in periods of rapid technological transformation?
First, if it was easy to be an entrepreneur or a manager, everybody would have been that, and it requires a lot of qualities. But I think what sometimes separates the people who are successful from other people that are as smart and pick up the right ideas and the right values is, I think, resilience. In order to succeed, you need to stick to your values, stick to your ideas, overcome many, many challenges, and you need to be very, very strong, because most of the time people will challenge you and will doubt your ability to succeed.
Did somebody tell you that you are too young to succeed?
When I was young, yes. I mean, most of my career, at least in the early days, I was the youngest person in the room. When I worked at university, I worked with super smart professors, and I was 15. When I started Checkpoint, I was 24, 25, and everyone that worked with me were older and much older. The top executive that we hired to Checkpoint 2-3 years after we started the company were all 10, 20, and 30 years older than me. I looked very young back then, and I said, just let's not discuss that. Our discussion should be on what we're trying to achieve, on what we're trying to do, not on the age.
How do you assess the major opportunities presented by the advance of artificial intelligence for industry, governments, and society at large?
So I think that AI is one of the biggest revolutions that we ever faced. Again, 100 years, 200 years from now, we will know if it's a revolution or part of the overall technology revolution that we experienced in the last 40, 50 years. But I think it's a huge part, and it's a huge power multiplier for humankind. I think if we use it right, it can advance everything we're doing as human beings in every area. From the ability to communicate, I mean, you can communicate in any language, you can consume things in any language, it can show it to you in text, in voice, in video, in presentation, in every possible language, and that's a huge barrier gap. In education, it can tailor education to individual needs. It can be a huge multiplier for education. In analyzing and consuming content and material, it will find out all the information in the world and present it exactly in the format that we want it to consume. And AI is the newest one, and probably the most sophisticated one, have plenty of potential on one side. It's also very scary, just like people were afraid of machines and computers in early days.
Now let's go back to the risks that are involved in AI. What do you perceive as the principal risks associated with the accelerated development and deployment of AI technologies? If you can focus on cybersecurity risks also.
So we all look about many different risks. People speak about the risk to employment, that we won't need so many people. I'm less afraid of that. I think that will just be more productive, and we will just use our intuition, use our experience, use our human capabilities in a better way, and do less of the basic work that was once required from us. In the cyberspace, AI is a huge challenge. It's also a huge opportunity, but it's a huge challenge. We'll start with information leakage. AI, I mean, if you look at the internet, people spoke about the internet as an information risk, and it is a risk. And by the way, all the bad things that we expected to happen in the internet happened. You can break into infrastructure, you can steal things, people can kids can be exposed to the wrong content, crime can be done on the internet. All of that is true, and still I think that today, in retrospect, 30 years, we are in a much better shape in the internet than we were before, and I think the same is in AI. Now, the difference in AI, for example, in the internet, people can get into our systems, and we are accessing public information in the internet, but we are not intentionally sending all our information. The way AI works today, it's not that you can get access to material, you are also exporting your material. So all the material that you get, you send it to an AI agent, the AI agent reads it, and the side effect of that is that the information is being leaked or information is being shared with the public. Now we have to understand who's that public, who's behind that, and are they keeping our confidential information confidential? By the way, it's not always exposing that. The AI engines can also analyze it, so they can know much more about us than before. So that's something that we need to be very careful, very cautious about. How are we exporting information? Who's holding that? And develop the right level of trust with the cloud AI infrastructure that's keeping our information. In AI, all that process can be done in 1,000 times better, faster. so we won't have so much time to stop it. The attackers will not necessarily break into the place that's easier to penetrate because that's the resources that they have, but they'll just break into 1,000 more places. And that means that as defenders of cyber attacks, we have to deploy tools to also be faster and so on, which we can, by the way. Keep in mind that the job of a security analyst, and today there was a talk a few years ago that there's 3-4 million missing cybersecurity experts in the world. That job, big parts of it can be automated. And by the way, AI tools, they can analyze more data faster, do it 24/7, much better than a human being. So these human beings can supervise these tools and can do a better job. On top of everything I described, which is how we use AI in kind of traditional attacks, the attack on the AI models are also very scary because you can inject or you can send instructions to the AI machine to do the bad things that you want, give you the data that you shouldn't have access, damage the system, and so on. So how do you kind of outsmart, I mean, there's a race today, how do you outsmart the AI system to cause it to do not what it's intended to do, and how do you stop that attack? And by the way, I think that today a lot of the CPU cycles or GPU cycle in the AI terminology are used not just to generate the right results, but to filter the right results that they don't do the wrong things.
Can you share with us a practical or example that you faced very lately regarding those kinds of usage of
again, the creativity level is unlimited, and the creativity level now is not also limited to human beings, but it's about, I mean, if you're, for example, if there's ways to try different methods to get into a system. And before it involved very smart people that tried again and again and again 100 times until they succeeded. So they worked for a week to try 100 different methods. Today you can do 1,000 methods in 1 minute with a tool that never gets bored because it's an AI tool, and it can have the similar or sometimes even better creativity than a human being. So we are seeing that kind of attacks every day, and we must make sure that, and of course what we're all afraid of, that AI will outsmart us and will take over our systems. I think that these things are real. We have to be careful, but like everything that is invented or was by humankind, whether from the discovery of the fire millions of years ago to the invention of firearms not so many years ago, we have to take control over the system and make sure we use it for the right causes and limit the wrong use. It's not as easy, but it's always a new challenge, but I think we can do it.
I will ask you, the next question will relate to the AI race between governments and the private sector. How do you view the evolving dynamic or race between the governments and private companies in the field of AI? What strategic recommendations would you offer to governments seeking to remain competitive while safeguarding the public interest?
So I think we all, I mean, as governments or as companies, we all have to understand, if we won't be there, we will be in a big disadvantage. We can't just say we're doing our job right and let's keep it the way it used to be. The world is not going to be like it used to be. By the way, we have that example. I mean, if we were 30, 40 years ago, it would have been hard to bring examples. But today it's very simple. If you're not on the internet, you can't be in our modern world. There's maybe one country in the world that's not internet connected these days. And by the way, this specific country is very advanced in cyber attacks and internet. They also use it, but not for their citizens. So you must be on the forefront of that. I think it's a force multiplier. If governments are faced with the fact that they need to provide more and more services faster and they don't have the resources, AI can do a great job. I mean, a lot of the job of government officers, which is checking what people are asking for, making sure that they treat all the people equally and they analyze each request using the right criteria, AI is great in doing that. And AI is not biased. AI doesn't have any discrimination. You tell it the rules, You tell it the examples and it will do the right job, and it will give the public a great service. You won't need to wait a day or a week or a month or sometimes more to get a request from any government authority, because AI can analyze these requests in real time, which, by the way, we're looking at, and I'm always talking about service, because service as human being, we are consuming service 24/7, and the most important factor in giving service is how fast you give that service. We react emotionally very strongly. If we get an immediate answer, it's great. If it takes us a week to get an answer, we believe that somebody is not treating us well, and AI can give us service really, really fast. And that will improve our good feeling and about life and about government. If we're talking about our leaders, trust our government, because it's not wait for 2 months until you're in the queue to get an answer, but you'll get an immediate answer that says, this is the criteria, you follow them, you don't follow them, that's what you should do. And I think from that perspective, government can really enjoy that kind of services. Government can do, again, talking about what-if scenarios. You can ask AI what you do. We're talking about communication. I'll give you an example. I used to write emails to our employees, giving my message to the public. That's what we need to focus, that's what we've done right, that's what we need to improve. In the past, I wrote what's on my heart, but I'm very involved, and I never understood what people will get from us. So I did focus groups and let few people read my emails and says, what did you get out of it? And then test them. All that, by the way, that cycle very few people do. Most people write and expect people to understand them, and the level of understanding of the people who read the messages is always limited. It's never the same. Now with AI, you write a message. By the way, you ask AI to write a message, it's doing a good job writing a message. Then you ask AI agent to read the message and ask them, what did you get out of that message? And now you're saying, did I get the right thing? I wrote a 3-page message. What's the key points that you get out of it? And if it's the points that you wanted it, you know you did a good job. If the points not the right points, you improve it and change it. And again, it's easy because you can ask AI to improve the message until the point is right. And again, it's the same if you write a simple letter as a leader and you want the public to know what you're saying. And it's the same if you write a report which is 1,000-page long and you want to know that at the end, the typical human being that will get the messages that you wanted them to be in that document. So it's easy. What's the 1-page summary, 10-page summary, or 1-line summary of my report? Did I convey the message? And that's a tool that can be used. And again, if you're talking about people that communicate and have to, which is a big part of what we're doing, that's a huge force multiplier. So you can test it, you can check it, you can understand, by the way, what's the implication of delivering a certain message, because you can do a simulation of how people will react to that. I'm sure it won't be perfect, by the way. I mean, we're always talking about AI make mistakes. Sure, we also make mistakes. Now, if you're asking me, AI probably make less mistakes than human beings. Now, it makes mistakes, and I'm checking my AI models all the time, and I'm sometimes even comparing them, and I sometimes compare them to other sources, and I challenge them, which gives me something to do, not to be, and it makes mistakes. But in general, AI will make less mistakes than human beings. We have to be aware of it. That's why it's scary. That's why it's artificial intelligence and not machines that we are expecting not to make mistakes. And if we use it right, I think we'll just we'll get it to the right places in life.
It was fascinating. I'll ask you now to refer more specifically to our role as Supreme Audit Institution. What practical recommendations would you offer to Supreme Audit Institution as they adapt to the AI era, both in terms of oversight and institutional capacity?
So I think for you, it's one of the professions that can benefit it the most, because what you're doing is analyzing a lot of information, comparing it to regulation, comparing it to common practices, comparing it to other data. That's things that AI can be a force multiplier of 100 times. Same thing is in what's your output, which is usually a long text that, I'll admit it, most people can't read. AI can do an amazing job both writing that, both analyzing the information, so you can audit and check much more systems. You don't need to, and by the way, you can also do more checks automatically. Instead of asking people to check if something works, ask an AI bot. Many systems can be checked automatically and really do the real world test. You can write the reports, you can summarize the reports, you can follow up on the reports. Remember, even the job of following up and
we can even make online audit, as you've mentioned before.
Yeah, you can do it.
As a cybersecurity company, that's what you are doing, an online eventually.
Yeah. And you can do it almost in every field, so you can process more data, you can summarize it better, and most important, you can, before we get to the stage, which is a few years ahead of us, that these reports get processed automatically and things are being fixed automatically, which will get there not very long from now, but we'll get there. You can do the follow-up. Today, the follow-up, if you need to take 50 points and call the body that you've audited and ask, what did you change? What's happened? It's a very time-consuming area. Now you can do it, a very time-consuming task. If you do the same thing with an AI tool that sends a reminder, that writes in what, by the way, maybe automatically find out that things was fixed. Something is exposed, it should be exposed. You can automatically do the check mark because it's not exposed anymore and narrow down the list of changes from 50 to 30 to 20 and give and call again the body that you need to audit until it's done. And again, notify the humans that behind that on the progress, notify them when you don't get action. For example, if you get the right response, here is our plan. They communicated, it works, they are on it. A week later or a month later, depending on your time schedule, we've checked again, progress is good, not perfect, we're never perfect, or no progress, please help us. We've done 3 reminders and it doesn't work. So for your kind of organization, AI is a great tool. Now, on top of it, you also need to audit and check for the risks. And as I said, with AI, one of the risks is that, A, all the systems are susceptible to attacks by the wrong prompts, and that's one risk. And second, that we are exporting much more information out of our organization. So today, if not in the past, if a programmer in an R&D company used to consume data from the internet and download code and download the materials about how to develop our stuff, so we were consuming information, not exporting it. Today, if I ask an AI tool to improve my code or to find the vulnerability or to write my code, that means that my code already lives in some public cloud. And again, remember, today 99% of the AI infrastructure is outsourced to few large organizations and it's in the public. So how to develop that oversight that we can trust these organizations to keep our data safe and not to share it with others or not to use it against us, because these organizations, again, not intentionally, but unintentionally let other people use that data against us. That's going to be a challenge to the world that we need to stay on top of. Now again, we can't stop the revolution and we shouldn't. I think it's a good revolution, but we must make sure we kind of secure that revolution.
We are in a panel that is being presented to European and Asian state auditors. How do you envision a constructive framework for cooperation between European and Asian countries in the fields of AI, governance, and cybersecurity? Are there examples of successful cross-regional collaboration that you consider particularly instructive?
Look, I work at technology world is one of the most global worlds in the world. You produce one company, and if it's a good one product by the company, and if the product is good, it's consumed all over the world. It's one of the only areas, by the way, in the world that you have a product.
And how many countries are using?
Today, almost all our countries in the world are using our product, and we have, again, employees. And from a cultural perspective, you still need people to localize it, to sell it, to service it, to do it in many countries, and I think that we probably have people on the ground in like 90 countries. So we are in many, many countries. And I think over the years I've learned about the cultural differences and how to bridge them. The good news about that, and that's about AI is an amazing tool in bridging that gap. If in the past we invested a lot of time localizing our software, translating user manuals, today it's all automated. You can get any material from any country, and not only that, we're not talking just about the technical aspect about translating the instructions. But I can now say to my AI tools, please take that message, or take that software, or take that report, or take that risk, and give me an idea how to localize it to the need in France, or to the need in Singapore, or to the needs of India. And AI will give me immediate ideas that says, you know, these people in this country, cultural, and you can say, put more cultural aspects to that. And that will greatly improve the level of collaboration, because in humankind we are not that we're not sensitive enough. We're very sensitive. We're not sensitive enough, and definitely we don't have the knowledge. As a single human person, I cannot say that I'm expert about how to communicate with people from different cultures. AI is, and that's an amazing thing. You can say how to construct that message such that people in all the audiences will better understand it, and AI will give you some very good, not ideas, will translate the information. So I think from a collaboration standpoint, that can be amazing. By the way, we are seeing today some AI tools that you can speak in your native language and people hear it in their native language. And with a lot, again, we'll make some mistakes, we'll probably make less mistake than a human translator. That's my point. And I think that's a great tool for collaboration. Take our, I mean, we are speaking here in English, and our English is not our natural language here. If we would speak in Hebrew and ask AI to translate it into all the languages of the people in the room, everybody would think that we are native in their language, and that and it will be much more personal because they'll feel that. And this test can be easily done by simple AI tools.
And the last question relates to the future. Looking ahead, how do you foresee AI shaping our societies 5 years from now? And looking a decade ahead, what transformative changes would we anticipate?
So first, I don't know if it will take 2 years or 5 years or 15 years. And it's hard to predict that, and sometimes technological, I mean, when you try to build a strategy and you're building the right strategy, you may be right about the direction, but you're never right about the timing and the impact. Global trade is something that's there's nothing we consume every day that doesn't have parts of it that are produced in different parts of the world. Even if we look at the latest challenge that the world has faced with COVID, the one thing that never stopped was global trade. I mean, we were stuck in our homes, we consumed all the information electronically, but goods kept flowing with ships and planes all over the world, because otherwise the world would stop, and that worked. And the internet connected us, and we lived our life through the internet. If I look about AI, it will continue that revolution, and we will be able to much better communicate, we will be able to much more work together and create new things. People will do less routine works and more supervising, sophisticated systems that do our job. We will still be needed. Our intuition, our ability to create new ideas, our ability to personal communication will be more important, because that's what we're left with. It's not about writing a long report or 1,000 lines of software. It's about how do we communicate that it's great, that software, or how do we understand we'll have plenty of tools to analyze the feeling and the behavior of our customers or the publics that we serve, but we will still need the intuition how to translate them to the right actions. If it will work instead of 8 or 9 hours a day, the way most people work in the Western world, and we will work 4 days a week and 6 days every day, our life will be better, not worse. So let's get that. And if we will be more productive and we'll have enough resources to consume more things in our free time, that's good for the economy. That's not bad. And if AI can do some of the work that we are doing and give us, and then, by the way, in the last few years, that's what's not happened. We became more productive, but I think we're working harder in most countries. Not in all of them, but in most countries, people work harder today than they used to work 50 years ago. So I think if the sort of the risky part that will have less work will happen and will work less, I think it will be good. We need to balance it to make sure that there is social justice and not people, and it's divided in the right way. And I think as human beings we can do that. I don't think it's something that's not doable. And I think the world is we look at the last few hundred years, became better in that. There's less gaps today than they were 50 years ago, 100 years ago, and 200 years ago. Everybody has the right in developed countries, everybody has the right, the access to everything from food to education, something that didn't exist 100 years ago in the same country. So, and by the way, same thing with AI and education. Every kid in every village in India or in China or in Israel or in Africa can have access to the most sophisticated education. They can have a personal teacher that's AI that's in the highest level, no matter where they are. So that can be a great force multiplier if you want to use it right. And I think we need to use it right.
So with this very optimistic view and vision, I would like to thank you, Mr. Gil Schweid, the founder, also the president of Checkpoint, a leading company in cybersecurity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So I thought also to present you with this video because of the importance of us as state auditors also to have a good relationship and to study from private sector. It's very important not only to study from ourselves and from the public sector, but I do want to encourage you, and especially as auditors, there are private sector companies, there are auditors from private sector. Yes, we can study with them, we can be in a good relationship with them, and we can try to adopt also new methodology that are being implemented by them and share also our knowledge with them. So I do think also there is a place for private-public collaboration also in the audit world. And I would also like to refer to one of the issues that Mr. Schweid raised, the issue of AI enabling us passing the language barrier. And I would like to demonstrate it from my expertise in two ways. One of them, we had a session online within EUROSAI about cost of living issues. We had different auditors from all over Europe telling our online community about those cost of living audit reports. And then we had another session, and we had a feedback from a Greece auditor that he said, after hearing about your audit reports in Israel, I went into your website, I used AI tools, I asked him, please give me the audit report regarding cost of living that in the milk area or in a car sector or in any other sector, and translate it to my language and assist me in building my audit plan. And he said, yes, it was quite relevant. This is one direction. The other direction, and we mentioned, we had launched and we spoke with Your Excellency, the state auditor and the controller and the state auditor of India about launching a EUROSAI award to all participants from Europe. And we do have different languages. And we enable everybody to present his work to this EUROSAI award in its own language. And we used AI tools in order even to assist us in, of course, translating into English, but also to evaluating it, to see it. So yes, we can use AI, and the issue of language barrier is a major achievement in AI, and it enables us in the international community to communicate in a much better world. I would now, at the final part of my lecture, I will get into more specific tools of issues of AI in public sector auditing. So, of course, we have mentioned already top AI risks, some of them. I would like to refer to the issue of the employment market. Since we are state auditors, we are also looking at the preparedness of our countries to AI. So yes, there are great potential, but there are also great risks. For example, I can share with you that even in the high-tech sector in Israel, for juniors nowadays, that they are writing all of those codes, there is less work because it's already online. AI is doing already the work. So even in those for those programmers. Nowadays, you can use AI code much more easier. Even as an auditor, you can ask him, please, what is the relevant prompt for me as an auditor to ask? He would assist you. So yes, there are risks in AI. Of course, there is a great potential, especially in public services, to improve them. If it's a grant made by any government agencies that is focused on some kind of your situation and your reaching certain criteria, for example, your income, your family size, where you live, of course it can be done by AI very, very easily rather than by some kind of officer that is going through a process of reviewing all pages and pages of documents, etc. But at the same time, we should be aware that those kind of officers, we will need them less. So it's a great potential for country also to save public administration. And yet, for us as auditors, I do believe that it will enable us to reach much larger issues in a quicker way and in a better way, especially due to data analysis. But once again, there are issues, and we should be aware, and I'm repeating it again and again, because we as auditors, our main asset is our integrity and credibility. If we lose that, we can close our institution, because there are many journalists, there are many other people that are expressing their views, and this we should be very aware. So that's the reason that I'm starting by the risks. I do wish to share with you, and I mentioned it before, that we entered in Israel into the cyber and IT audits, and we opened a new audit department that relates to both IT and cybersecurity. For example, we have checked even the way that we are electing in Israel. What are the election process, and are those system protected? Because this is the most important procedures in the democratic world. If somebody can harm this, it can change all our democratic environment, and we want to be the one who are voting. Or once again, it can be to issues of within local authorities, or even the issue of the supply chain cyber risk management in various sectors, because sometimes we check the IT systems and we don't check the suppliers. For example, we had a case in Israel that a hospital went under a cyber attack. He couldn't work for 2 months ago. 2 months he couldn't work at all because he was under a ransom request of a cyber attack. So it was a civilian. It was not some kind of a critical, I would say, maybe infrastructure like electricity or water or other government, but yet it affects a lot the life of the citizens. And this is an issue that we try to, and we as auditors, especially as third auditors, once we are entering into this, we tell all the IT managers, please study from our report also to your organization. Even if we checked, and we had a checking about the cybersecurity of our electricity company, so we said our water company, please study from that report. And part of the audit process was also, as I mentioned before, having penetration tests and being online and checking the credibility of our IT systems. We also, we did publish some reports regarding AI. I would mention the first one was the national preparedness in the field of AI, which this is also part of our role, not only to use AI, but also to audit AI usage by government, by the policy of the government as a whole, but also all the specific offices. Also, we had, and I distributed it, and you are mostly welcome, we leaded a parallel audit within the European community composed of 12 countries that we have just published our parallel audit, international audit in the field of AI. What are the main barriers? I distributed some of the findings. We will distribute it to you online, and you are mostly welcome to view. And these are 12 countries in Europe that that were eventually having the same audit at the same time. It's also a potential for SAI to do the same thing, to define parallel audits in areas such as AI and to go through them. And once again, we also distributed questionnaire, and now we are in an audit process of the usage of government ministries and other public bodies in implementation of technology of AI. At the same time, you can see here some of our examples about IT and digital technologies audit report, and also we look on our defense forces in those areas, and we do check them. In those kind of areas, the reports are classified, but yet it's part of our role to check their preparedness for a cybersecurity attack and their IT system. I would also mention that in order to implement and have those kind of cybersecurity audits and IT audits, we had to develop an internal methodology. We will be very happy to share it with you and to study from you, of course, about, for example, how we are delivering and presenting our findings to the public, because we don't want to harm the public body, yet we do want to make the awareness much better, because this is our power, our publicity of our reports, but yet we do have a classified report that is submitted both to a specific parliament committee, but also to the auditees in order for them to fix what is needed to be fixed. So there is also a need to develop the way how you write those kind of reports. You can see here some other issues of cyber information security. For example, we've just published a report regarding the preparedness of cybersecurity in remote work, because many of our office public bodies are moving 1 day a week to work from home, 2 days a week, even in our office. So how is the cybersecurity protected due to this and new way of working? So yes, we were looking at those kind of areas. And how did we do it? First of all, we established 2 new departments. We also, in cooperation, our cyber report within our work plan, we had some very strong we were encouraging our auditors to go through CISA, to go through knowledge learning of how to audit IT, how to understand IT, how to deal with cybersecurity issues, and of course, and even hiring some external experts to assist us with penetration tests as hackers, and to develop the methodology, because once for example, you are making a penetration test, you don't want to harm the public body. We had a penetration test being done on our traffic light system. Think about what about if somebody wants to make any terrorist action, and at the same time they want to control the traffic light of Delhi. It will be like crazy. Everything will be, even without the issue of the terror, just to get into the traffic light of Delhi, which is not such a sophisticated infrastructure. Probably, at least in Israel, we found that it was not so sophisticated, very easy to get into, and it's very dangerous for the people. So yes, we have to define those kind of areas that we have an added value as state auditors. Another report, which we also audited, and quite lately we published the report, relates to the government's handling of foreign influence in the digital space. Since we are, once again, democratic countries, but we are facing also challenges of AI, we do know, and each country has its own internal enemies, external enemies, people that wants to affect the life of us. They can do it very easily by foreign influence. So in that report, and you can see here some of the risks that, for example, for an election period, the publishing risks and threats from UK, from United States, from European, from the World Economic Forum. So now we are in Israel, we are going to enter into the election process in November or October, it will be by the end of October. So we have just finished our report regarding the preparedness of the audit of the committee of the election to foreign influence and how they prepare themselves to deal with it by regulation and by checks and by making exercises, and how do they prepare themselves to all kind of foreign interference. I would also share with you, we had a report regarding responding to cyber incidents during emergency situation. Once again, if there is an emergency situation and next to it a cyber attack, it's even much more difficult than to handle, for example, the issues of having the relevant IT systems when something wrong is, even if it's earthquake, if it's floods, and you need to evacuate a lot of population, how do you collect the data? How do you deal with them? How do you know that the budget that the government is allocating is using properly? And because usually when it's emergency, everybody is in a hurry. So you have to prepare yourself. You have to check in advance how to deal with it. And if I go back to our most important report, I would say that we published a year ago about our national preparedness for AI. It was published in November 2024. We identify 4 gaps. One of them was the issue of having the sufficient budget allocated and then spent. The issue of having a national program strategy, gaps in central government body responsible leading this national, and we focused also about our education system, because we went into the Ministry of Education and asked them, how do you teach the young people to use AI? You know, we teach them very hard through books, but if you ask any student today all over the world, please prepare me some kind of a research work about any item, he will go to ChatGPT and this will be his report. So yes, we have to transform our education system and to teach the teachers how to deal with AI. So one of the major recommendations we had to our Ministry of Education, be part of the AI revolution, be aware of it, teach the teachers how to use it, and if you are, and there is a lot of public spending and education, and once again, if I quote Mr. Gil Schwed, it's a great opportunity because any child in any village all over the world can be exposed to the same AI tool. Think about it. That in any other great city. So it's a great opportunity. But we need to invest in education in order. So these were the major gaps. I can share with you that this report had a large effect. The government passed a resolution. Prime Minister nominated a committee how to implement all the recommendations of our state audit report. And then, for example, you can see also the Ministry of Education, it declared the year 2025 as AI year. And I think this is one of my greatest achievements. To move the Minister of Education just to focus on AI, well, I can go home. I've done already I affected probably millions and millions of children and the way that we should educate them. So yes, this is our role as state auditors, not only to study from failures on the past, to anticipate what are the relevant risks, to anticipate what are the barriers, and to raise those issues, to raise them. Don't be afraid to raise them. Maximum somebody will tell you, I think otherwise, but probably you will be right, and you can affect your citizens and your people in a better way. So you can see a summary. We published the report on November 2024. Right away, the Prime Minister nominated a committee. The government, it took them almost 9 months, but they had a new resolution. And even now they are launching a new multi-year plan. And for the first time, we have a Chief AI Officer in the Prime Minister office, because he realized that there is a need for it. I've just mentioned the parallel audit on AI that we have finalized and finished within EUROSAI. I will present you with a short video related to that parallel audit on AI, but before that, I do want to give you another example that AI can be used very easily. For example, in Israel now we had a report regarding our metro project. It's a huge amount of public funds, in our case in Tel Aviv, that is being invested, about, in our case, $50 billion. But we are in a very preliminary stage of this project. So we thought to ourselves, as auditor, when should we come to audit it? Should we wait until the end of the project, within 5, 6, 7 years times, and then tell our government or public body, you were doing mistake here, 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 it took you too much money, too much time? No, we said we want to have our audit now. So we are at the very preliminary stages of of this report, but yet, for example, part of the report was international comparison of cost. We took data from the World Bank. How much does it cost 1 kilometer of a metro to be built all over the world in different countries, and we compare it to the budget of that was by the Israeli law. Or, for example, we compared how much time does it take all over the world. How much time will such a project will take in India? Are we doing better? Or maybe we should do much better than we are doing. So we can have a lot of, by using AI tools, a lot of international comparison as part of our report, and especially since we are state auditors, I tell a lot of my staff, we should compare our state to other states in order to see, not only to the previous situation in our state, let's also see what is relevant for us, of course, but once again, because they are different in cost, in HR cost, in other, but for example, another issue in that metro report, we looked about the barriers. And we are not, the government now is just only in the very first planning process. So we told them, do you have a program? How, if you are in a Tel Aviv, like Delhi, which is a very crowded city, how you dig in it? What is the program for all the trucks to move on the sand? Do you think about it, or otherwise it will stuck the whole town and the project itself? So please think it ahead. Or do you need a special expert for it? Do you envision the future, what are the future barriers in order to be relevant? So yes, I encourage you also as auditors, not only to deal with the past, think about future, but also think about think about the current situation, but also think a lot about the future, how we can anticipate risks and barriers and raise them and bring more added values to both our auditees and public sector, but also to the people. I will finish by this video about the parallel audit on AI, and I also wish, as part of the report, you have some of the reports that were done by our colleagues from Europe on AI. Eventually, we find out quite the same barriers. The issue if a government wants to install properly the AI in its country, there is a need for a vision, there is a need for a specific budget, there is a need for somebody that is managing it, there is a need for knowledge sharing between public bodies, how to use AI. And there is also need to manage the risks that are included in AI. So please, if you can play the video.
Governments around the world are no longer just talking about AI. They're using it, experimenting with it, and trying to understand how to manage it responsibly. In this multinational audit, 12 countries compared how ready they are to adopt AI in a safe, effective, and trustworthy way. What emerged is a picture of real momentum, but also real gaps. Some countries already have national AI strategies, while others rely on broader digital plans. Where leadership and coordination are clear, progress is faster and more visible. Funding, however, remains a sticking point. Many governments invest in AI, but not always in a transparent or trackable way. Regulation is evolving too. Most countries have oversight bodies. but fewer have practical operational guidelines, especially as they prepare for the EU AI Act. Infrastructure is improving, with national clouds and hybrid models becoming the norm, yet governance and capacity planning still lag behind. Across the board, data readiness, cybersecurity, and human talent are the biggest constraints. Governments often have rules for sharing data, but not the conditions to do it smoothly. They recognize AI security risks, but consistent safeguards are still developing. And everywhere, there's a shortage of skilled people to build, manage, and oversee AI systems. To move forward, the audit recommends strengthening strategy ownership and measurable goals, improving budget transparency, publishing practical regulatory guidance, and building stronger governance for hybrid infrastructure. It also calls for clearer data sharing processes, baseline AI security requirements, better monitoring of government AI projects, integrated workforce strategies, and treating NLP as a shared, sustainable national capability. The building blocks are in place. The next step is connecting them, turning strategies into delivery, pilots into measurable value, and principles into safeguards that earn public trust. And with the right choices now, the path ahead can be smarter, safer, and full of possibility.
So thank you very much. And I would also like to share with you that I believe that those recommendations that were also given on a high level of government are relevant also to our offices. In order to use AI in the best way, we have to have a well-secured infrastructure, methodology, knowledge sharing, community of AI users in order to study from each other. Yes, it's very important within our offices. And study both for success stories, but also for failure stories. Yes, if you don't try, or you will never succeed. If you don't fail, you will never succeed. So I encourage you to, yes, to try. And even to fail a little bit from time to time, but then to get better resolutions. I would now move on to a question and answers. You can ask me both as State Auditor, State Comptroller of Israel, but also as EUROSAI presidency. I do want to share with you that I would like also to return to one of my first messages. We should be here also for vulnerable communities all over the world. Let's not forget them. Now, for example, we are having a parallel audit, not only an AI is in EUROSAI, but also about aging. We just published our last report this week. Eventually, yesterday, we published a report about aging in Israel, and we have an expression in Judaism. We should, of course, respect our parents, and I think this is good for society, those values. So yes, we have to be there also for them and to watch for them very closely and use those very advanced tools in order to see whether funds are being distributed in the best way that that can be done for the population. Okay, so any question, please?
My name is Ashwati. Sir, my question is, first of all, thank you for a very insightful lecture. And you have brought out so many new things for us. And you were mentioning about you are having a, on your this thing. On your recommendation, the government has set up AI strategy, AI budget, AI plan and policy, etc. So does it include, what about cyber security? Does it include, do we need to have a cyber security strategy, vision, plan, etc.? Is it included in AI?
Yes, yes. Your question is very, very important. And yes, first of all, I would say one of our main recommendations in the auditor is always try to find out what are the strategy, because otherwise you are spending money to solution, short-term solution, and to set up a strategy is always good for any area. It can be for environmental area, it can be for cost of living issues, it can be for export or import or well-being of your population. So the issue of strategy is very important because it also enables us as auditors to come later on to the government to say, are you accountable to this strategy? So if you are lacking strategy, many times we as auditors would say you have to have one. And then it's also another very important thing about strategy and setting up a strategy is because then the people knows the direction. Like Mr. Schwed said, I want to speak to all my employees all over the world to tell them, these are my directions. Like I've heard, His Excellency, your state auditor, when he spoke about a little bit direction to the whole community of the workers. So yes, strategy is something which is very important. Related to cybersecurity, yes, we do have as part of our audit reports, we looked also about strategy, we looked about regulation, we looked about the ability of the relevant body in Israel that there is such a cybersecurity authority, that they have the funds, they have the knowledge, because for example, we were doing a risk assessment of all public sector in Israel in area of cybersecurity. And we found out that the major risk is lacking of manpower relevant, because in public sector they pay less, so all the cybersecurity experts are going to private sector. So this was the main risk we defined, and you have to be aware of this risk, and to develop, for example, in our case, the recommendation was, okay, you can make, for example, external services purchase as government for cybersecurity from companies, but yet try to find how you have the information with you, the knowledge within the public body, not to have everything being done by the private sector, rather than engaging between experts from public sector to private sector. So yes, indeed, it's a major recommendation also to cybersecurity. And if I go to AI, I do think this was the reason also I presented this interview. Nowadays, AI causes a much higher risk of cybersecurity, because once again, you should have been, once upon a time, you should have been an expert in cybersecurity in order to invade into any IT. Nowadays, if you want to invade, you should ask AI, how should I do it in the best way? Probably it can do it for you much better than experts. So this is also something that, and this also something that countries should develop collaboration between them, because that's, for example, I spoke with our police inspector general. I told him, nowadays it's not relevant to put a guard next to any bank in Israel. Please look what's happening online. Look who are the burglars, and probably they will not be even from Israel. The one that will try to hack you will be from some country all over the world. So yes, we have to develop also between law enforcement much better collaboration internationally in order to protect our civilians, because and then how can we deal with it? So these are huge challenges due to AI. Yes, another question?
Good morning, sir. I'm Subir Malik. I look after the audit of defense in the CAG's organization. I had a question about, you mentioned that like in your audit of the children who went to foster homes or to dormitories, you also accessed databases like police records for crimes committed. And of course, in the course of your audit, you would be accessing many other such databases for doing your data analytics, big data analysis, or using your AI tools, which is of, let's say, data of sensitive nature, not open to public, it's restricted data. So my question is that I presume that the methodology which is used is that you are able to access those databases, use your AI tools there, and extract the relevant information, transfer it probably to your own servers, and do the subsequent steps which you said is necessary to ensure that there are no hallucinations or wrong results or whatever. To keep our credibility, we have to look into some further processes to ensure that those results are accurate and correct. So my question is that once this kind of sensitive data comes on my server, that is the auditor's server, what kind of, you did touch upon it briefly, but what kind of measures you're taking to ensure that they are as safe on your server as they were on the police server or wherever else? I'm speaking more so because I'm dealing with defense audits, so this is always a very big concern with us. So that is the background in which I asked the question.
So
thank you.
If it's a very, very classified area, but I'm speaking about our intelligence forces, the audit sometimes will be within their sites even, because we don't want to extract those kind of information. But if I go, for example, for police, so I would give you two examples. One of them was done by Miri that sits next to you. We looked about police discrimination, or the way that they are handling people with different colors. Okay? In Israel, it related to Ethiopians, the black people in Israel, and the way that the police are handling them. We wanted to check them, so we took all the arresting files, and they have a vision, and they are instructed not to make any manipulation and not to discriminate any person. But we wanted to check, so we took the arresting files without names, okay, because we don't want to get into a particular case or particular person. We extracted the files without names and other identification, and we compared it to another database from the Ministry of Interior that you have where it's written the father's place where he was born and the mother. And we could have demonstrated that the ratio in the population of black people in Israel that are being arrested is 3 times more than their rate in the population. So this was part of our findings, yet it was done in our office, but we took the information from the police without the personal information. But later on, Miri, that sits next to you, she explained the police how to monitor themselves and how to go on and to see, even by any police station in Israel, to see if they have a problem in a specific police station. Or I give you another example. Now we are dealing with a very delicate issue of, and once again I'm looking at vulnerable communities. We are having an audit report regarding trading women in Israel, that they are trading with women not for proper uses. Part of the report is there are laws how to enforce it in Israel, and the police can give you fine and can give you some, and can sue you, etc. So we extracted the information from the police, but once again, our findings would be, for example, we find out that only this and this amount of cases were brought into court, or only in 3 stations out of 100 there were cases like this, or there were even targets by the police commando to deal with those kind of criminal actions. So the question is very important, and even more important when you are using AI. And for that reason, part of, and we will be very happy to share knowledge, and this we'll discuss, we did develop some internal AI tools. But for example, for the beginning, we said you are not allowed to use it for data that is sensitive. So we do look also very carefully at how we are using it. So yes, even so we are doing, of course, those kind of data analysis. we would do it in maybe at the beginning, not with AI tools. Later on, I believe we will also enter, yes, but we should be very, very careful. And beside that, of course, you should set up your own regulation, because if I speak so much about cybersecurity, I cannot expose our office, of course, to hackers. So yes, you should be aware this is a great responsibility. But once again, if we extract data, and especially private data, from Ministry of Health, from police, from tax authority, even less, we try less to we will take the minimum we need. We will not take any personal data. We will, because we want to focus on the issue of, the big numbers, and not to get into a specific case, and to eventually in our report to look at deficiencies about the way that the body is implementing his vision, the way that they are monitoring it, etc. So, and I can share with you that by doing those processes, many times we educate the public sector to monitor more processes within government, which is a wonderful byproduct as an auditor. So I would like to thank you all, and I'm very honored to be here, and I'm very thankful for this opportunity, and we look forward for a lovely collaboration and to study from your wisdom and your experience. You have a wonderful experience of, so many people working in your office. We have less people, but I believe we can generate from each other. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for that highly insightful and enriching lecture. Thank you to all the participants for the thoughtful questions, and for His Excellency for the valuable responses. To express our gratitude, may I request the Honorable C&AG of India to come to the dais and kindly present a memento to His Excellency, Mr. Matanyahu Engelman. To formally conclude the lecture session, may I now invite Director General International Relations to propose the vote of thanks.
Honorable Comptroller and Auditor General of India, His Excellency Mr. Matanyahu Engelman, State Comptroller and Ombudsman of Israel and President of EUROSAI, distinguished delegates from SAI Israel, senior management of the Indian Audit and Accounts Department, esteemed officers and colleagues. It is my privilege to deliver the vote of thanks on this occasion of the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Memorial Lecture Series. On behalf of the Office of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, I expend our deepest gratitude to His Excellency Mr. Engelman for delivering an exceptionally insightful and thought-provoking lecture. His Excellency's presentation provided valuable insights into the transformative role of artificial intelligence, especially in public sector auditing, and highlighted both the immense opportunities and the associated risks. Your overview of international audit practices and experiences from European SAIs underscored the importance of governance, capacity building, ethical frameworks, and innovation in ensuring that emerging technologies serve the public interest. I would also like to express our sincere appreciation to the Honorable Comptroller and Auditor General of India for his leadership and guidance in fostering international cooperation among supreme audit institutions, and for providing this valuable platform for professional exchange and knowledge sharing. I also convey my thanks to Mrs. Engelman, Dr. Sarah Yunovsky, First Secretary, Mr. Reuven Azar, Ambassador of Israel to India, and Ms. Miri, DG International Relations, SAI Israel, for gracing the occasion. We look forward to further expanding our cooperation in the years ahead. I would also like to place on record our sincere appreciation to the senior management, officers and staff of the Indian Audit and Accounts Department who have joined us today. Your presence is a testament to the department's unwavering commitment to continuous learning, professional excellence, and embracing innovation in public sector auditing. I also extend my gratitude to all officers and officials involved in planning and organizing today's program, whose dedicated efforts ensured smooth conduct of this event. Once again, on behalf of the Office of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India, I extend a sincere thanks to His Excellency, Mr. Matanyahu Engelman, His Excellency, Mr. Reuven Azhar, Ambassador of Israel to India, and the delegation from SAI Israel, the Honorable CAG of India, and all distinguished participants for making this event a great success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. This concludes today's session of B.R. Ambedkar Lecture Series. The delegation will now proceed to Committee Room 1 for the bilateral meeting, followed by the signing of MOU.